Hey, what's going on? Round two of the day, hanging out in the same podcast spot as I was just at. I've got a bunch of different places that I like to park that are close to facilities I need, to public restrooms, to little shops, to now to the ocean. It's going to get a little bit warm in here after a while. I'm probably going to go jump in and take a dip before I head over to the gym. Then I'll get my sweat on and shower off afterwards. But so this is round two of live videos today. I'm just stoked because this was one of the many parts of the mission I said I was going to do, and I'm out here doing it. And, I'm not great at these live videos yet. I don't get a lot of viewers, but that's okay because it's just all about continuing to develop the habits, just like the gym. Create content every day, go to the gym every day. Right now I'm healing from a gym injury, so I've had to dial it back to every other day and modify my workouts, but, small price to pay. So before I go any further, if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know this channel is about the adventure videos. Make sure you check out the adventure videos playlist. It's on my homepage. I'll come back at some point soon and add a card up here. Hopefully I'll throw a link in the description as well. So this whole mission is about creating a life of adventure, wellness, and freedom. And I'm a career video producer who's trying to figure out how to take those old school skills, tell stories in a manner that I still enjoy at the pace that I enjoy, while also figuring out all these different elements of vlogs, of jump cuts, of shorts and reels and lives. So we're just going to keep doing it all and things will start falling in place over time. So today's subject matter is the value of solitude and coping with loneliness. So, first of all, do I get lonely out here? Not that much. And I'll explain a little bit more details. Now, there's obviously something a little bit unique about those of us who choose to live a lifestyle like this, who build a vehicle that can do this and go off-road and keep them going in all kinds of weird circumstances with solar and battery backups and everything. This isn't a normal thing everybody does. Yeah, and then I've definitely met an element of people out here who are doing it not by choice. But for someone, I think that the people that might benefit from this the most, actually, you know what? I think this is a great message for every single person. Although it might relate the most to somebody who is on the road doing one of these solo nomad laptop lifestyle kind of vagabond lives. It's the value of solitude. We grow up around family. We are around people at school, probably around people at work. We engage, at the convenience store, and I think it is really an important thing for humans to have relationships with one another, to have positive exchanges, to be challenged, sometimes to have challenges, to be able to actually have good, worthwhile discussions, that you would say are debates. Although I've learned to really I try to avoid the hot topic issues because I don't want to put time or emotion or energy into something or lose sleep over, have it come back to me and bother me, because I want to be putting that time, energy, and emotion into doing things that will move me forward in life, build my following, develop the brand, and help me influence the world. So I sure do try to avoid those situations. But we're so used to being engaged with people all the time, and especially most of us, my audience tends to be above the teenage years, and most kind of in that 30 to 50 range, which I fit into. And that's kind of what they say. You attract your tribe, the people that have things in common with you, generally within 10 years of your age. We all desire a relationship. The world is kind of weird. The dynamic of relationships between men and women in 2024, it's harder for me to wrap my mind around. My parents set this amazing example. I grew up in this great family where everybody's still married and everybody gets along really well, and they work together symbiotically. And it seems like it's a whole lot more challenging to find that in the world these days. Some of it's the result of me living this wild life, spending 7 years living in a ski town with a lot of seasonal employment, and a town and women, but of consumerism, of being just place too. I don't want to always talk trash on it, and I will tell you some good things about it. But the longer about one, and self to the point where I have the value to I require for myself in a relationship. So I'm not going to sell myself short. And of living alcohol free because, guess what? You're not going to eat use, then you're going to fully embracing easy stuff. All right. I go where I want. I do what I want. I manage my budget how I want, escaping the matrix and developing my following. And when I was married, it sure wasn't easy to get ahead financially because you have two of them, what's the word? I'm running dry of the word I need. Me developing my virtues of minimalism, being somebody who wants to have a lot of stuff is a challenge. And as I've got that circumstance, I've traded my life for an expensive drink or an expensive meal to stuff nice. And then I end up, relationships with interactions with others. And engaging and interacting with others, I think, is a important part of the human experience. The conscious exchange in creativity, especially when you have a romantic interaction with someone and some physical chemistry. And these are amazing, amazing things in life. But they're not everything, and they can be like an addiction. They can be, immediate pleasure that you depend on to try to develop fulfillment from. You try to rely on, friendships or relationships to make you happy. And here's a nice thing about being in a public place. How we going, folks? That's all right. I think it's awesome to have a live podcast studio or people right by me. And there I go, losing my train of thought. But it's what I've realized is I'm not going to be the best version of myself in any serious relationship, in any romantic relationship. I mean, truthfully, even in a business partnership, if I don't have everything really feel confident and solid and have it all dialed in on my own. And I feel that there's very few opportunities in life where people are, first of all, able to pursue their own true, sense of self and solitude, of being happy and comfortable alone. And second, when you do begin to develop that, at least for me, I know that I'm becoming a way better version of myself for any future relationships too, where I'm not going to depend on the other person for the support I need. I can get through my problems and know that I've got my teammate there, but my challenges are not their responsibility. And I think maybe that's something that comes away from growing up with such an amazing family, is that we always did have people there. My brother and I did have family there to, support us at all times, and we still do. And yes, your partner should do the same, but it is not their burden to build you to the point where you're always going for that reassurance. Like they shouldn't have to build you to the point where you don't need their reassurance on things. And as I continue to develop my own ways and just my self-belief and the fact that I'm good every day, whether somebody's here or not, my interactions with people become a lot different because it's not an act of loneliness or desperation in any way. It's just a genuine exchange, usually quite short. A lot of these, I'm working a part-time job now, the most amazing, awesome, fun part-time job, standing out on the Pismo Beach Pier, selling people food and beer. And even though I'm not drinking, I'm still slinging some beers out there. And I feel like because I have developed this virtue more within myself, and I've really come to have a positive relationship with myself, that I don't need anybody else to help build up with me. I don't need anybody else's reassurance. I don't need anybody to come to when I'm having hard times. And I know that that comes out as I interact and engage with everybody during the day. Um, because all I want from that person, is, well, if they're a customer, just to figure out what they want, hopefully get a tip from them, get them on their way with a smile. And, every once in a while I get to have a long enough exchange to maybe just take a little bit more perspective about life away with me, or maybe have a positive influence on them too. And I'm not saying that this wouldn't happen already. If I was a little bit more of a, engaged in a relationship or whatever, but I feel like this is something that comes off of me and exudes off of myself. And I think it could affect anybody who really truly finds that sense of self-belief and fully loving themselves, like the love of your own life. Like, I'm the love of my life now. And someday, if I find the right partner, if I'm even willing to give up all of this amazing freedom and creativity and direction and whatever I want to do without anybody getting in my way, even if I'm willing to give that up. I have to make sure I've got this element of me solid, or sharing with that person, or any exchange. It's just not quite the same. So do I get lonely while I'm on the road? Every once in a while, yeah. Yeah, I do. But I don't think it's truly, honestly, loneliness. It was a lot worse a few months back. A bunch of that had to do with just consistent, cold, nasty, rainy weather. A fast-paced job that didn't matter, but could still bring anxiety, until one day I said, "This is dumb. I'm not going to allow this to give me anxiety. If I'm cool and I take a little longer, but I've got my head on and I'm keeping my breath, I'm gonna be fine." And I ended up getting better tips and making more money when I stopped stressing. So here we go, off into, now my mind's just wandering. The thing that I want to convey is that, if whether you're just living life and maybe you get lonely on a daily basis because you don't have the interactions you want with others. Maybe you're on the road. Maybe I plan on I'd like to do at least a month of pure solitude, where I don't see anybody. I don't call anybody. I'm just going to go out to the desert, make sure I'm supplied, and I'm just going to go, and we're going to see how it all works out. And so, I don't get lonely, but I had some challenges, as I was getting over my earlier addiction to alcohol. Now I'm about 7 months away from that. And just your body naturally has, moments where you feel sad and down. And at the same time, I quit taking antidepressants that my body was dependent on. 6-7 months later, oh God, that was the worst, man. This just made you want to cry for no reason at all. And so those emotions, I think, were actually chemically induced. I don't believe that they were truly me being lonely. So I've started to really embrace this concept of building that self-love and self-belief to the point where, until I'm to the right point, until I feel like I'm at the level that I need to be at, until this thing has got me sustainable and I've got the true following and I've got my rhythm going and everything's falling into place, I'm going to keep on doing this single thing. And for anybody out there, who's, this isn't really supposed to be about relationships, but if you are desiring a relationship, if you are lonely, man, the best thing you can do is go out and just start developing yourself. What is it that you want to do? I think getting yourself physically in shape and learning how to eat right is one of the absolute best things you can do. That habit will follow you for the rest of your life. It'll change everything. It'll make you a harder worker. It'll make you more productive. You'll drink less. It's just amazing. But for anyone at all that's thinking of getting on the road and spending this time alone, one of the best things I could say is either make sure your vehicle has climate control, or you go somewhere with a good climate. Because that's when I started feeling the most down and depressed. And that's when to me, it's like the depression comes up and then I figure out what to target on. Do I think about my divorce? Do I think about being lonely? Do I think about my debts that I accrued with high interest that I'm anxious to get rid of? And then you kind of obsess. So keeping yourself in a place where you're not stuck in cold, rainy weather for extended periods of time, I think makes it a lot easier to be real happy on your own. But the rest of it, getting into the gym and just starting to figure out, who are you? Who truly are you? Who do you want to be? Are you that person yet? Or what is it going to take to get there? And if you can make that priority in your life for as long as it takes, whether it's 6 months or 6 years, and if you can do it with the focus on yourself first, then I believe on the other side, you will have developed everything you need from within. I believe I will have developed everything I need from within myself to be that strong, solid, virtuous, loving individual who attracts others as friends and romantic and people with romantic potential, women with romantic potential into my life as well. Because the exchange will be all about positivity, not what do I need from you? How do I make myself unlonely from interacting with you? But just, I've got positivity to bring into the world, and you seem to have a positive aura that you could have positive impact on my life. And so the best thing, in my opinion, to cope with loneliness is just really focus on building yourself and make that your priority. And it's funny, I feel like the loneliness just kind of dies and goes away after a while. And maybe something I have to be conscious of. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. Maybe I'll be single the rest of my life, and maybe that's okay. I have a feeling that'll probably rectify. That'll probably work itself out on its own as I continue to develop my following. I continue to develop my physique. I continue to prove to myself that I'm going to do exactly what I say I do. And I've got a year-long record of just checking off one win after another, after just coming through for myself and doing what I said I would do and getting through whatever it took to get there. So who knows? But I think the worst thing you can do is try to go put yourself into an environment to satisfy loneliness in an unhealthy environment, in the bars, through short and quick sexual encounters. Who knows? Maybe casinos. I mean, I don't know. Whenever I feel like you're feeling down is the best time. Whenever you're feeling alone is the best time to go and start working on progress towards a goal or towards developing yourself. And for me, that's how I handle loneliness. I start feeling lonely, I pull out my computer and I start editing on a video. I grab my microphone. I work on a podcast. I just work on creating. Or if the gym's open late and I want to work out late, or it's during the day, I just head to the gym and work out for a few hours. And everything's great after that. But I do highly recommend not using alcohol as your method of coping with loneliness. When you learn to cope with it from within, you won't reach for alcohol or unhealthy relationships. So I think that's about all I've got to say. Sun's getting hot. I'm getting sweaty. It's time to get on with making the next parts of the vlog I've been producing for you guys today. Make sure you check out my adventure videos playlist. That's the whole reason this channel is here. And like and subscribe if you haven't, guys. I'm on an awesome mission, and I would love to share it with you as things evolve.